In the summer of 1947, in the harsh, open silence of New Mexico, something fell from the sky. The object itself may have been small. Its impact on history was not. A strange debris field appeared on a remote ranch. Military officials moved in. A public statement was released. And then, almost immediately, the story changed. First, the world was told that the Army had recovered a flying disc. Then, just as quickly, the explanation was replaced. No disc, no mystery, just a weather balloon. But that sudden reversal created a fracture that never healed. And from that fracture, one of the most famous mysteries of the modern age was born: Roswell.
Roswell is powerful because it is more than an old UFO story. It is a symbol of something deeper, a symbol of the moment when truth seems to surface for 1 second and then vanish under official language, ridicule, fear, and silence. That is why the case survived, not because everyone agrees on what happened, but because they do not. Why did the first statement use the phrase flying disc? Why was it corrected so fast? Why has the name Roswell remained alive for decades, as if history itself never fully closed the file?
The story began on a ranch owned by Mac Brazel. After a storm, he found strange wreckage scattered across a wide area. This was not what people expected ordinary aircraft debris to look like. Witness descriptions over the years would vary, but the core image remained unsettling. Lightweight material, reflective fragments, thin foil-like pieces, structural strips, and debris that did not seem easy to classify. It was strange enough to stand out immediately, strange enough to make a man stop in the middle of an empty ranch and feel that something unusual had entered his world. And sometimes that is how the most enduring mysteries begin, not with certainty, but with a single moment of discomfort.
Now place that moment inside its historical context. This was 1947. World War II had ended not long before. The Cold War was rising. Military secrecy mattered. Surveillance mattered. The sky itself had become political. Every unknown object carried possibility. Enemy technology, classified experiments, intelligence operations, or something beyond any known category. So when strange debris appeared in New Mexico, it was never going to stay a local curiosity for long. The age itself was ready to turn uncertainty into legend.
Brazel reported what he found. The local sheriff became involved. The military was informed. And then came the moment that made Roswell immortal. Officials from Roswell Army Airfield responded seriously enough that the situation escalated fast. That part matters because the case did not begin as a joke. It did not begin as a campfire tale. It entered the public record through military attention. Then came the famous press release stating that the Army had recovered a flying disc. That phrase detonated in the public imagination. It was brief, direct, and unforgettable. In an era already buzzing with reports of strange aerial objects, it was enough to ignite the entire country.
But almost immediately, the narrative changed. Photographs were released showing officers with debris that appeared ordinary: sticks, foil, balloon-like remnants. The revised explanation was simple. There had been a misunderstanding. The recovered material was not a flying disc at all. It was merely a weather balloon. And that is the exact point where the Roswell mystery truly began. Because people can accept a strange event. What they struggle to accept is a contradiction. How does a military institution confuse a common balloon with something worthy of the phrase flying disc? Was it genuine confusion, or had the original truth been replaced before the public could get too close?
Years passed and Roswell could have faded away, but it did not. Later researchers, former military personnel, writers, and witnesses reopened the case. Some argued that the debris had been unlike anything ordinary. Others claimed there was more than debris. Some of the boldest accounts spoke of bodies, small, non-human, secretly removed from the site. Whether true or not, those claims transformed Roswell into an American myth. And yet, myths don't survive for generations unless they connect with something real in the human mind. Roswell did. Because at the center of the story, there was always a missing piece, and human beings are haunted by missing pieces.
That is what makes Roswell disturbing. Not that we have undeniable proof of extraterrestrials, we do not. It's disturbing because the truth never feels complete. An incomplete truth can be more unsettling than horror itself. A changed statement, conflicting witnesses, official revisions, late explanations, all of it created a psychological void. And into that void, generations poured their fears and hopes. Was Roswell a secret military test, a classified surveillance program, an intelligence operation hidden in plain sight? Or was it the first time something not of this earth touched the ground and was immediately hidden?
One of the strongest later explanations tied Roswell not to aliens, but to secret military activity. That interpretation has weight because it explains why officials would conceal the truth in 1947. During the early Cold War, secrecy was not optional, it was strategic. But even that explanation did not close the case for everyone. For many people, it arrived too late. And when explanations arrive decades after confusion, they don't always feel like truth. Sometimes they feel like repair, and repaired narratives are never as powerful as the first crack that exposed them.
Let's return to the ranch for a moment. Imagine standing in silence, staring at wreckage that doesn't make immediate sense. The human mind wants categories: balloon, aircraft, experiment, anything familiar. But what happens when something resists being named? That's where fear begins. Not in the object itself, but in the failure of language. When people can't place what they're seeing inside the known world starts to feel smaller, and the unknown starts to feel close.
Roswell eventually became a cultural giant. Books, films, documentaries, conspiracy theories, tourist landmarks, debates, ridicule, belief, everything gathered around that single desert event. But under all the noise, one human question remained alive. Are we alone? And if we are not alone, what if the first proof was hidden? That question is powerful enough to keep any story alive forever. Because Roswell is not just about a crash, it's about trust, about whether institutions tell the truth when something world-changing happens, about whether ordinary people are allowed to see history as it really is, or only as it is packaged for them.
There's even a darker possibility. What if Roswell isn't ultimately about visitors from the sky at all? What if it's about us, our need to turn uncertainty into myth, our refusal to let an unresolved event remain unresolved? That possibility is real, but it doesn't weaken Roswell. It strengthens it. Because even as a human-made legend, Roswell reveals something profound about the modern mind. We fear secrecy, we distrust contradictions, and we can't resist the possibility that the universe may be crowded with intelligence we don't understand.
Some later testimony suggested the military response was unusually swift and tightly controlled. Some accounts implied that witnesses spoke, then fell silent. Some suggested records changed in tone over time. Are all those claims proven? No. And that uncertainty is exactly why Roswell remains effective as a mystery. It never gives us the comfort of complete certainty. It doesn't let us settle fully into belief. It doesn't let us settle fully into dismissal either. It leaves us in the most dangerous place possible, the territory of maybe, and maybe is where fear grows best.
Imagine if the first press release had never existed. Roswell might have vanished in a week. Imagine if the official story had never been reversed. It might still have faded, though differently. The case survived because of contradiction, not clarity. Clarity ends stories. Contradiction gives them immortality. Every generation comes back and asks the same question in a new form. Was it a lie? Was it an experiment? Was it an intelligent secret? Was it non-human? And every generation leaves with the same uneasy answer. We still don't know enough.
On a clear desert night in New Mexico, it's easy to believe that the universe feels close, not just visible, but present, as if something could cross the distance and touch the earth without warning. And what's more unsettling is this possibility, that maybe it has happened, and what followed was not revelation, but concealment. Perhaps that's why Roswell still lives, because it doesn't feel like a finished event. It feels like a file closed too early, a door shut while something on the other side was still trying to be seen.
In the end, the truth may be simpler than the legend, or more complex than we can tolerate. Maybe Roswell was secret technology wrapped in confusion. Maybe it was a classified operation that accidentally leaked into public view. Maybe it was something else entirely. But one fact remains undeniable. Roswell no longer belongs only to 1947. It belongs to every mind that noticed the contradiction and couldn't let it go. Every person who felt that behind the official explanation was another locked door. That is the real power of Roswell. It doesn't force you to believe aliens. It forces you to live with discomfort, with the possibility that something important was seen and then taken away.
So perhaps the true question was never simply, what crashed at Roswell? Perhaps the deeper question is this: what did humanity glimpse for one brief moment before it was pushed back into shadow? Between the first statement and every explanation that followed, one of the greatest mystery files in modern history was born. A file that refuses to die. A file that returns every time the world thinks it is finished. A file known by one name alone: Roswell.